Hi, this is another demo of the Dr. Z CAS 45 amplifier. No pedals, just plug straight into the amp. And I'll have some more details at the end if you want to watch. But I hope you like the video. And if you do, please comment, like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching.
Down the street where nobody walks, nobody can hear. I started listening to a sound so clear to the world around me. Incredible scene, I had to believe. I saw a difference in the way I see. The mystery said, come and see the world around me. Feel the see the world around me. my side, and I feel like I'm standing in the middle of a battlefield. Oh Lord, I'll try. Door and took a seat, listening to words that seemed to bounce right off my chest, like I've heard it all before. Teaching old dog the same old tricks, tied underside my pillow.
Here's some info on the guitars used in the recording, or the whole setup really. But the guitar used on most of the stuff is this recent Gibson Custom Shop SG. And this is, I think they're called custom Bucker pickups. Pretty low output, around 7.8K resistance if I remember. Maybe a little lower than that, 7.6. Fingerboard kind of looks like that. And used the Les Paul Standards 2004 that has throwback SLE 101 Plus pickups. And that has stainless steel frets. I played this guitar a bunch. Fingerboard looks like that. And the Stratocaster is a 83-62 reissue. That's all stock, including the frets. Frets are pretty worn out. And the fingerboard looks like that. Anyway, of course that's going into the Kaz amplifier. Hi, and here we continued on the path of the guitar signal. So first we have the speaker cabinet. I don't know who made it, but made in Canada by somebody. And there's a couple greenbacks in here and two creambacks. This is top right front. This is top left front. And onward. So here's a 57 on the creamback, and here's a 421 on the greenback. And something I didn't know before, but I reamped the guitar on Complain, and I used this 421 alone on one of the greenbacks. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so we're going into this Worm Audio API style preamp, the two microphones into there. From there, they were running into this board, big, huge board. But anyway, basically what I would do is two channels from the preamp would go into the line input of the board. Basically, the preamps sound better than the preamps in the board. And I'd set the high pass filters varying on the song, and then I'd balance the faders, like, 421 might be here, 57 might be here. I kind of come up with a balance set and bust those to say here. I'd end up recording all those, but with the intention of using in the end the mixed track that I had. Regarding the high pass filters, this board has really good high pass filters, and it might be set as low as no lower than 50 hertz, and a lot of times the microphone might be 125 hertz or so. But in any case, that was the board it was tracked into. And so on to the drums. This is the basic gist of where the drums were in the room, just to give you some kind of overall picture. There's a basic picture of how the microphones are set up. There's these are SM81s. I'll point it out a little bit what's what. Here's a side view of that. So let's say we have the two SM81s on top. They aren't split very wide, but they're equidistant from the snare. I find that works for me. And also because of like how high these cymbals are over here, I can't go too far out here. So whatever distance I get from the center of the snare to there is the same distance I'm going to get to the second one. So the SM81 is the Sonautics D2, covering both of these concert toms. The two rack toms have Sennheiser E604s. There's a Sennheiser 421 on the floor tom. That's a 14-inch floor tom, by the way. 10, 12, and 14. I think those are 6 and 8. Black Beauty snare. Zildjian A Custom Ride and Crashes. A Custom Splash. Some kind of Zildjian trashy cymbal Sometimes he has another trashy symbol over here. Then it's Wuhan, China right there. The kick drum is mic'd with one of those shoe mounts. That's like a suspension system with rubber. And it's a Shure Beta 91 inside it. Let's see. Those are all recorded through this Audient preamp. I think there's 8 microphones there. And same deal, that runs into the mixing board. Oh, it runs in the mixing board, I EQ it, and then out of the mixing board into the DAW. The kick and the snare are running through these DBX 160 compressors and get recorded that way. So everything gets recorded with EQ, however I hear it at the time is sounding best. Okay, quick explanation here. This is Dennis tracking, it's just an iPhone video, but it's him tracking, I think, the first song on the first Cas 45 demo. And the gist was, we have a section of the song and we loop it for a little bit. It could be 2 times through, it could be, I don't know, 5 times through, until Dennis feels like he's comfortable with it. And then we just record it. And record it and loop it. And then once we think we get a take, we stop recording. That's kind of the gist with how everything works. Like you might do 3 loops and you just basically say the last one's the good one. You never go back and say, oh, the second one's better. And that helps line up the video too, because the video's rolling the whole time and it's hard to figure out like which video goes with which audio take if you don't do it something like that. So anyway, this is near the end of the first of one of the takes that he was doing on the tune. I thought it was worth showing. Shows a little bit about what the, even though it's on an iPhone, what the sound is in the room in that space.
Getting better.
That's killer, man. It's all killer. This was the final take on this one. Done?
Maybe one of those?
That was the keeper for that one. So this is round of the vocals now, and that's kind of what it looked like where Jeff was singing. He's got the green screen behind him, some lights out front. This camera is way up there. Some Orlex panels here. There's some foam stuff on the ceiling over there. And there's a acoustic panel behind this I-beam here too. He's singing through an SM7A, not the B. It's an old one. And I think that's running through a Daking preamp and a Daking compressor, if I remember correctly. All right, so when John came over to sing, he brought this bottle of wine. I thought it was worth mentioning. I'm not much of a wine drinker, but if you want to try a good wine, this stuff is the bomb. It's about $60 a bottle, but it's the bomb. Okay, you know what that was. Monica's funny. That was just Monica's idea to do something a little different. And there she is a few years ago. But so we go from Grandy to that. That's pretty funny. All right, so the area where the mixer was positioned for this, I had started to, this might be getting a little ahead of myself, but I originally had the mixer where the drums were, the big mixer, and one of the problems I had when I was tracking over there was I'd have a guitar cabinet here, it's on the other side of the wall of this, and the low end from the guitar cab coming through the wall back at me always really threw me off. So I put up a couple more sheets of drywall over here and some of that green glue stuff and sealed it up, which helped enormously. Even though there's not necessarily a door between this room, it really helped a lot. These are GAK acoustic tiles that we've had on the ceiling in this rough part of the basement before over the drums. But I kind of repurposed them here trying to make this area work. So they're kind of like they're like full range traps. They're 4 inches deep. But anyway, one behind, excuse me, one at an angle, trying to leverage the base trapping of a corner here. This one is on an angle trying to trap that corner. And then there's one overhead to stop the reflections from there. This is kind of the same thing with the table, basically a big workbench that the mixer itself weighs, I don't know, 190 pounds or something. It sits on this. You can see the furnace here and just junk. Everything's being moved around at this point. But I just thought I'd show it for reference. So when this area was more complete, it kind of looked like this. And obviously the mixer's up there, some rack stuff here, compressors down here, the main rack here, the amplifiers and stuff over here, the lights back behind that. They just kind of add a little fun to it. Anyway, that's exactly what the room looked like when I tracked this in the original CAS 45 video. Kind of a side note, we played a gig outside last summer and I used this mighty Dr. Z amp and it didn't fall in the water, Maz 18, and it just killed. So I just thought I'd mention that. It's one nice lightweight 12-inch 18-watt combo. No problem being heard and sounding great outside. All right, so when we're done with all this stuff, we have a creek that runs alongside the house. A bunch of fish in there, you can probably see them. And
Look at the eyes, these are pretty fish.
there we go, Dennis, Monica fishing. Or more like Dennis finish fishing.
Just trying to grab by the mouth.
He ain't having it.
No, he ain't having much. Hey, buddy.
There you go.
Kind of funny. Or they'll go kayaking, which is kind of funny. Monica goes sideways here, but all good. She'll figure it out. And a couple other things around the house for fun. Cardinal outside the window in the snow. I just thought that was pretty. And there we end with the whole purpose of the video, which was trying to demonstrate the Dr. Z CAS 45 amplifier. Hope I did it justice. It's a wonderful, wonderful amplifier. You can't really see the controls here, but there's the first one's, no, you can't see the controls at all. But anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, please subscribe. I have a couple more videos to do, one specifically on the Dr. Z EMS amplifier, which is a wonderful Marshall style amplifier. Kind of goes from Plexi to JTM to JMP to 800 and a little bit more on top of that. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.